Next week, we finally get our hands on the Witch Queen, the long-anticipated next chapter in the Destiny 2 narrative and lifespan. And with that DLC, we're getting 50 new weapons, new exotic armor and weapons, a new raid, a new location, weapon crafting, and a complete rework of the Void subclasses to bring them in line with the customizability and the versatility of the Stasis subclass system, including Aspects and Fragments, instead of preset curated subclass trees. This is excellent news for Guardians, as we're gaining a lot more control over our Guardians and what distinguishes them in the game. Now, Bungie has already been extremely forthcoming with information about Void 3.0 and listed out aspects and fragments in great detail preceding the release of the Witch Queen, so we have a really good idea of what these things are gonna be like ahead of time. They've also shown gameplay of these new abilities so that we can see what they'll look like as well. And because of how open they've been with this information, I feel very comfortable laying down a build combination and playstyle that I think will be highly effective as a starting point when the new content drops next week. You'll be able to get this thing up and running easily within a couple of hours, I would guess, so the barrier to entry is pretty low. So let's get talking about the build. First, we gotta talk about the rework to Devour. Devour has been wrapped up in the aspect Feed the Void, which was previously just a tree node among the 4 for the Devour bottom tree Voidwalker. Now, Feed the Void now covers both Devour and its extension perk. So the aspect reads, defeating an enemy with a Void ability activates Devour. And then the text for Devour reads, the player is immediately restored to full health upon activating Devour from any source, and is granted grenade energy. When the player gets any kill with Devour active, they are restored to full health, granted grenade energy, and their Devour buff timer is extended. There are a couple of key differences here opposed to the way that Devour currently works, okay? So the first difference is that there is no indication that consuming your grenade will activate Devour anymore. That sounds like that's gone, so that's a big deal. Right now, when your health gets low or before an anticipated engagement, you can consume your grenade to activate Devour and get full health on command. But unfortunately, that's not happening anymore. According to the text, that's no longer a way to activate Devour. The only way to activate Devour is to get a kill with a Void ability. This could be your Void Super, a grenade, or a charged melee ability, but you can't turn it on by consuming your grenade anymore, and that's a big change. One of the reasons I like running Devour right now is because of the health on command at the expense of my grenade. So that's one major change to Devour. The second major change is that when Devour is activated now, it immediately restores your health like before, but it also gives you grenade energy. So this, I'm assuming, is to offset the previous change. It's almost like Bungie wanted us to use our Void abilities, not sacrifice them, in order to activate Devour. And this leans into that vampiric idea, the vampiric qualities of Void a little bit more. That's really the heart and soul of the Voidwalker, and it has been since Destiny 1. It's about draining your enemies as an energy source. So Bungie actually talked about this way back in Destiny 1 when they buffed the Voidwalker late in Year 2, saying they wanted it to lean more heavily into its vampiric nature. So now, we want to use our abilities to kill enemies, that way we can extract health and ability energy from them, and that sounds awesome. So, the first component of this build will be to select the aspect Feed the Void, like we've been talking about. This is going to be excellent, especially in 6v6 where most players are engaged in PvP. We're going to be siphoning health and energy from our opponents so that we can chain kills more effectively. The second main component to this build is going to be the Child of the Old Gods aspect. This is the second aspect we're going to be selecting. This is a really cool new ability for Voidwalkers. The aspect reads, cast your Rift to summon a Void Soul. When you damage an enemy with your weapons, your Void Soul will launch itself towards them and detonate nearby, attaching draining tendrils which deal damage and weaken the target. When your Void Soul deals damage, it restores either melee and grenade energy if you're running a healing rift, or health if you're running empowering rift. Defeating an enemy who is being drained grants rift energy. So that's freaking awesome. It's like a little vampire buddy that goes out and starts attacking whoever you're targeting. And as it's doing damage, it's going to give you ability energy or health energy, depending on which rift you're running. So for this build, we're going to go ahead and we're going to select the Empowering Rift. That way, we're going to do more weapon damage while simultaneously getting healed by the Child of the Old God's Void Soul. And when we get a kill on the opponent, we're going to get rift energy back to us. But if Devour is active when we get the kill, we're going to get ability energy back anyway, because that's how Devour works. Now, this build is going to start getting a little complex here, so I need you to try and follow me on this. There's just so much going on with Void 3.0 that keeping track of all the moving parts can be a little disorienting. But let's recap real quick before we go on to the next component of the build. So far we have the aspect Feed the Void, which is going to activate Devour whenever we get an ability kill. When Devour is activated or refreshed, we're going to get full health immediately, and we're going to get grenade energy. And it's going to extend the Devour timer. Next, we have the second aspect in the build, Child of the Old Gods, which is going to send out a little void buddy whenever we cast our rift and shoot someone. And that's going to damage the enemy and siphon health from them as we're using the Empowering Rift. When the opponent dies, we get rift energy refunded to us. We're likely going to activate Devour in the process if the Void Buddy finishes the opponent off, or our grenade or charged melee does. So this takes us into the grenade and melee abilities. First, let's chat about the new melee ability for Voidwalkers called Pocket Singularity. Your charged melee ability will now quickly conjure a void orb that you will throw out in front of you, much like Celestial Fire. But instead of just doing raw damage, it's going to do damage and also push your enemies away from it. This could be insane as a deterrent to players running at you with a shotgun, for example, or a sword or a super. Not only is it going to damage and push, but it's also going to apply a debuff called Volatile. The debuff Volatile reads as such: the target will explode in a void detonation upon taking additional damage. If the target dies before Volatile has taken enough damage to detonate, the detonation happens anyway, kind of like Bloom. So think Code of the Commander detonators. It's kind of like that. The problem with Code of the Commander is that it's really hard to apply the Volatile debuff on a specific target because there's no ranged melee ability. That is changing, by the way. But the Warlock is now going to have a ranged melee attack that will force the enemy back and apply that Volatile debuff. If the target dies with the Volatile debuff, then you're going to get Devour, either activated or refreshed. So you're going to get health and grenade energy. And you see how this is quickly adding up, and they're going to blow up and damage anything nearby them. So this is quickly adding up, and we're just going to be debuffing and siphoning in so many different ways. Voidwalker is about to be legitimately insane in PvP. So next up, let's talk grenades. For this build, we're going to be using the Axion bolts. Axions are great and have lots of utility, even though we aren't going to be charging them up. It's a great way to start an engagement. If someone is around a corner or a choke point and about to push, you can toss the grenade as a sort of breaching charge to go ahead, that'll go ahead of you, and then you follow it in. The enemy will have to choose between running or staying and tanking the Axion bolt, which is a major risk to them. Also, this could synergize really well with the Old God's Void Soul, attaching tendrils and sucking the life out of an enemy. Toss the grenade to clean them up. Or you can do a sort of wombo combo, toss the grenade to seek the opponent around the corner, and then you follow your grenade in and toss the Pocket Singularity at them. They go boom when the Axion hits, and you've got Devour. This build is looking pretty insane already. But the last major component to this build is the exotic armor. Bungie is going to be releasing a new Warlock exotic. It's a pair of boots called the Secant filaments. The Secant filaments. First and foremost, these things look absolutely beautiful. They are stylish as heck. And in addition to that, these boots are going to grant you the Devour perk whenever you cast an Empowering Rift. So to recap, that means that when you cast your Rift, you're going to get full health and grenade energy. So we're also going to put 2 bomber mods on our bond as well. That way, when we cast our Rift, we're going to get a ton of grenade energy. Now, this is basically going to replace our old ability of consuming our grenade to activate Devour, which is gone now, right? Now, we're just replacing it with casting an Empowering Rift. Now, remember everything else that's going on with this build. So imagine, for me, someone pops your shield. So you break for cover, or you go around the corner, and you activate Empowering Rift. they're likely going to push recklessly to finish you off, because this happens to me all the time running Devour, and I just consume my grenade. But instead, we're going to cast that Rift, and when they push you, you are full health. You're doing extra weapon damage in your Rift. You send a child of the old gods to suck them dry and leech health from them. You're basically a raid boss when they push you. Or if they jump over the cover to shotgun you or something, finish you off, you just throw that Pocket Singularity up into their junk and launch them backwards and shoot them and blow them up with the volatile debuff. I'm telling you, this build is gonna be insane. So, okay, let's try to bring this home. There's a lot going on here. Let's talk about fragments. We don't know all of the fragments just yet. I do apologize. You're hearing a bunch of stuff in the background right now. My kids are home from school today. The teachers decided they wanted a day off, and so the kids are home, and my wife is playing with them, and there's lots of hooting and hollering, so I apologize for that. It's just the sounds of the home I live in, and I have no control over it. But anyways, fragments. First, we want Echo of Expulsion. This is going to make enemies blow up whenever we kill them with an ability, regardless of whether or not they are volatile. And if we are only going off of these 4 fragments, the other one I'd pick is the Echo of Undermining. So whenever enemies are damaged by our grenades, they're going to be weakened. This might make the Axion, followed by a Pocket Singularity combo, reliably kill without any extra damage needed. For armor stats, we're going to want to run max recovery, so 100 recovery, for sure, so that we have our Rift more often. We want max strength, so let's run 100 strength for the Pocket Singularities, and then we'll shoot for tier 7 discipline, followed by the discipline penalty from Echo of Undermining, dropping us to 6. I'm not too worried about discipline, since casting our Rift is going to give us grenade energy, and so is Bomber, and so is getting a kill with Devour active, right? So we're not going to be hurting for grenade energy. We got no problems there. So lastly, let's talk weapons. I think Graviton Lance will pair really, really well with this. I mean, having even more Void Explosions is going to be awesome. Otherwise, I think you couldn't go wrong with like Crimson and Sojourner's Tale. Crimson in an Empowering Rift is already a really great way to consistently 2-burst people. But I'm most likely going to be using an adaptive energy pulse like Third Axiom or something like that. And in the kinetic slot, I'll be using the new Throne World Destination sidearm. It's a kinetic, aggressive 2-round burst sidearm, much like the Breach Light was, and that thing was a monster. So I'll kit it out to hopefully be ideal for chaining kills with things like Rampage and Killing Wind, something like that, since we're going to be able to craft them to our liking. But kill chaining builds on guns, perks on guns like Killing Wind and Rampage work really, really well with Devour, because you can just sort of hold forward, and that you're not wasting so much of your Rampage and Killing Wind timer trying to get health back after an engagement. You go full health when you get a kill with Devour active, and then you can just keep maximizing the Rampage and Killing Wind. All in all, this build is going to be insane in PvP. I can't wait to get my hands on this new content. It all sounds absolutely mind-boggling. And I hope this video helped you understand some creative ways to start using the new abilities as soon as we get them. So thanks for watching this video. And just as a heads up, we would love to see you on our live gaming show that we do. Me, MTashed, and Cactus HD. We host a live podcast here on YouTube called Real Gamer Hour every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We get you caught up on all the gaming news for the week, and even the gaming drama, if there is some in the community that's worth talking about, that's fun. Come by. Maybe you'll get a free giveaway. We've given away some advanced GG tubs and shakers, as well as exclusive Destiny emblems. So come say hello this week if you can, Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, Real Gamer Hour here on YouTube. So thanks for watching the video. Drop a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for additional Destiny content. Be warm and well fed, my friends, and I hope to catch you in the Crucible.